Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's the big day you've been waiting for. We're gonna hit the dyno. We're here at Gearhead's Auto Fab and with my buddy Jarom. He is gonna help me out with the dyno today, teach me how to dyno. We're gonna see what the SC is making before we start strapping on bolt-ons, before we do a standalone ECO. So let's go check out the dyno, check out the shop. What's up, Jarom?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hey man, your shop's looking great. You got a sick dyno setup. Tell us just a little bit about the dyno setup real quick.
This is just an inertia only dyno, so basically there's a big roller in the ground. It knows the weight of it and it can equate your horsepower and torque. Right now I'm putting in like the weather and the conditions for the day, and that kind of just gives most dynos everywhere kind of a similar type reading. So we'll set this all up, and we put in a few factors as well, like the size of the engine and stuff like that. And then we strap it up to the roller and just do a few tests, get kind of a good baseline, and hopefully we can kind of get a starting point for like what your car's making currently.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks for having us out. We're really excited to be here, and hopefully the guys online here are going to learn a little bit about the dyno process and might motivate them to come on out themselves. So appreciate you having me out.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Sweet. You're watching Tater Nader, Accelerate with Faith, entertaining automotive content. If you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of the action. Let's go. All right, so we're chalking it, we're tying it down to the rim.
Yeah, just kind of keep it from moving around too much.
Sick. I'm excited to show you. Yeah, so I ended up pulling out 305 pounds so far.
Yeah, that's fine.
In general.
Just throw the doors away and you'll have 705 pounds.
Literally. I wanted to show you this.
Somebody needs to make a carbon fiber door shelf and just like some other. Yeah, can you imagine? I actually think it's the heaviest thing on the whole car.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I heard before I bought it. I wanted to show you this fun one. So anti-gravity is like $600 to $800. This one at Walmart, lithium ion, is 175.
Yeah, I use the one on Amazon all the time, Norco or whatever that is.
Norco. So Jarom, how long have you been at this shop here?
I think I've been here 8 years. Just about 8 years. And then I opened my first tuner shop in 2006.
Oh, here, I brought you a water.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I'll be like 20 years if I make it 2 more. I'm 18 years this year.
Very cool. That's awesome, man. All right, so we got the car all set up. What's next, Jarom?
Well, it's strapped down, so we're gonna hop in the car and go ahead and set up one sensor to read the RPM, and then we can start making dyno pulls.
All right, fantastic. All right, so what are we connecting here? This is just gonna read the exhaust.
Yeah, this is the wideband air fuel ratio. You
Oh,
were
okay.
mentioning that you had installed one in your car.
Yeah.
This will give us a chance to kind of see if yours is reading similar, to just make sure it's hooked up right.
Perfect.
That way when you're driving around, if you see weird things, I can kind of tell you what to look for, and we'll know that it's accurate.
That's fantastic. Okay, and then in the front we connected.
We connected basically a sensor that reads, it's an inductive clamp, it reads the spark. So that would give us an RPM reference, because horsepower times RPM divided by 5252 is how you get horsepower.
Fantastic, I didn't know that. Okay.
That's the equation.
Okay, say that one again.
It's just basically applied torque. So like you can only read how hard you accelerate the roller, but they divide that by 5252 over RPM, and that's how you get your horsepower number. Horsepower is just the sustain, like how long you sustain torque. Fantastic.
Okay, very cool. I'm learning a lot here.
Yeah.
All right, let's start her up.
So we have like really good RPM signal now.
Awesome.
Go ahead and put it in first gear and just lightly, like real softly roll forward just to make sure it's centered on the dyno. So you don't have to steer because you're strapped down. Yeah, you just kind of let it chill.
Okay.
So just go ahead and go first gear like you were going.
Okay. Like you would normally drive?
Yep. And go to second gear. still a 5-speed, right?
Yeah, it's the factory 5. That's pretty fragile.
Go ahead and go to 3rd gear. And go ahead and just floor it whenever you're ready. And it will record, go all the way to red line, wide open throttle.
Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. All right, we got 1st gear. We got 2nd gear. Here's 3rd gear. All right, let's rip it. Oh!
So we just finished dynoing and it looks like we made 193 horsepower. Let me scroll over really quick for you guys. 188.5 on the peak torque.
Nice.
What do you think about that? Is that what you're expecting?
It was a lot lower than I was expecting.
I actually think that's great. I have had this type of motor make as low as 165.
Oh, okay.
165, 170. So, you know, you're 15 or so over this. That's pretty good.
Okay.
It is a pretty good day to dyno, so I was imagining you make a decent number today.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
not bad at all.
Thanks, Jarom. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. All right, guys. So we're super excited about the new merch launch. You can see, looks great. And this month, we're actually going to be doing a giveaway. So any product on the Zazzle store, Taternator's Zazzle store, you get to pick it out. There's gold watches, there's floor mats, there's shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff. You get to pick out any product that you want, and I'll get it shipped directly to you. So how do you enter the giveaway? It's simple. You just subscribe to the channel, like this video, and then comment below. Let me know what design that you like the best on the store. And then at the end of the month, and I'll randomly select the winner from that list. I'll direct message you, and then you can get me your information, and I'll get that product sent directly to you guys. All right, there's some of our new designs laid out real nice. You got the keychain, a couple of the shirts. All right, and then Carolyn's wearing the ladies shirt. She's modeling it. I got her one. All of these designs come in ladies cuts. She's looking good in the Taternator shirt there.
It's very nice.
Is it nice? Good
yeah,
material?
It feels nice. It's light.
And I'm here sporting the hat and the SC300 tee right there. You can get these in every single color: blue, green, white, pink. You can get it in long sleeve, short sleeve, hoodies.
Yeah, fall's coming up.
Thanks for supporting. There'll be a link down below where you can go straight to Zazzle to order from them. Really premium packaging. Everything is really, really nice. It came in about a week. Zazzle handles everything super professional, fantastic, great customer service. So we're really excited about that. Let's go. Yeah, so the stock numbers that you read online of 225, not so much.
That is absolutely never going to happen, other than crank horsepower.
Oh, that's crank. So then what's crank to wheel equation?
Don't worry about that. Just there's your starting point.
Yeah.
There's like a number for everything, but it's so speculative because through a manual trans, through an auto trans, through this driveline, through that driveline, through this set of wheels, through that, like 15%, 30%.
So you think that that's pretty decent?
Yeah, I do.
To the wheel.
Yeah, it's decent. That's like completely normal. It sounded really good too.
Do you think that boring out the cats did anything that I did? I bored out.
Because the rich reading on your sensor.
That's probably right.
Actually, that's probably what it is.
That's probably.
Yeah. I forgot to turn the wideband on, but on the next one, as soon as this heats up, I'll get a reading, and yours is in there.
Yeah.
Well, you can kind of watch because we're sitting here, right?
Yeah, so idle's good at what it's supposed to be.
That's leaner than stoichiometric, so that's fine, I guess. Technically, stoichiometric with 10% ethanol on our gasoline pumps would be like 14.1 or 2. You could do the math, like 14.7,
Okay.
10% ethanol, blah, blah, blah. It's about 14.1, 14.2.
Okay.
That's reading nearly identical. And this is way downstream, that's way upstream.
Okay.
Not bad. So we'll do a dyno pull, and I'll have a reading about, like similar.
So maybe I installed this correctly, which I need this anyhow.
It's really hard to install that wrong. It's a really good sensor. You don't even have to calibrate them correctly. You just turn it on and they work.
Hell yeah.
So,
We love that.
let me get this saved and then we'll do a second pull.
Dude, this is so much fun. So yeah, I mean 193 to the wheel. I'll get that read down.
Okay, so I have the air fuel ratio sensor hooked up on the back of the car, the one that's coming from the dyno, and we can compare to the one that you installed, you said recently.
Yep.
This way we can kind of get a sense if they're reading accurately. And right now, they're really close, right?
We're really close.
0.1 or so.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really darn close.
I would say right now, like 0.1, 0.3, yeah.
Yeah, and yours is way upstream, mine's way back, and if they're that accurate, I would say that your install went really well and you did a great job. So.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
Okay, let's do this dyno pull and then we'll get to see what your horsepower looks like and what the fueling looks like.
Let's do it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so you mentioned before that it was reading kind of on the rich side.
Yeah.
I can confirm that it is, yes, definitely fairly rich.
Okay. That's what I was worried about.
Towards the end of the run, it is like very, very, very rich. 9.7 air fuel ratio. That's super rich. So.
Is that dangerous?
No, it's like safe. My assumption would, I mean, it's really, really rich. It could cause rich misfires essentially, but it's not. So what I think is happening probably is because the car is heating up. The manufacturer uses temperature to add fuel just to keep the engine cool under certain conditions.
Okay.
But that is still quite rich, and if we were tuning it, we would just look at the temperature compensations and adjust accordingly instead of just dumping a ton of fuel like the manufacturer did. So they're just trying to make sure in every scenario you can't hurt the engine, you know? So, yeah, that's crazy, crazy rich.
Yeah.
If you notice too on the lower RPM points, it's about where it is under light load. Like that's almost stoichiometric, like that's in the 14s.
Yeah.
And then it should go into like maybe 12.5, 12.2 even.
Right, that's what
but
I
it's going all the way down to like 10s and 9s. That's very, very rich. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that could be had with tuning, but it would probably only equate to like 10 or 15 horsepower or something like that.
Okay.
So it's not too big of a deal. And ultimately, since you're not tuning it really currently, you can keep the car like this. It'll stay safe under hot days, you know?
Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah, pretty cool.
That is amazing.
That's pretty good power for stock, you know?
Sweet. Okay, so it going that rich is not dangerous at this point.
No, usually lean is dangerous because it creates more heat and heat creates problems.
Right.
But rich is okay to a point. Like if you get so rich that it can't actually light all the fuel and misfires, that can be kind of bad. Mm-hmm. But I didn't hear any misfires. I generally listen for that kind of a thing.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's just doing what it's been programmed to do for, like, you know, temperature.
Right.
So,
okay, that makes a lot of sense. So somebody else told me, and that's why I'm here to talk to a pro, is that we could manually advance timing on this car and get more out of it. Tell me why that's a bad idea.
It's not that bad of an idea. You
Okay.
could certainly do it, but it's just a global change. Like, let me show you in your engine bay really quick.
All right.
Essentially what they mean is you could advance or retard the distributor. So the computer uses the sensors in here to allocate where timing is. And if you rotate it forward or backward, it just moves the entire timing curve forward or backwards. I would think, because the stock engine hasn't been modified in any way, like, yes, you could, maybe advance it a couple degrees and possibly get something. It's usually not a lot, and it's a lot of fuss for kind of small potatoes. Like, if you were on something that was tunable, the problem with globally changing something is you can end up like undertime places and overtimed other places, just because you're now like, also giving idle extra RPM. So now maybe idle's really high and lopes or does something weird just to get that extra like 5 or 10 horsepower at the top end.
Right.
So it's marginal and probably not worth it. But
yeah, so mechanically it's not on a
Yeah.
curve, so you're sacrificing one thing for the other thing.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We have bored out the cats. We've done a forced air induction to the stock, which probably didn't do a whole lot. We're getting decent horsepower, is what Jarom is saying. What would you do for like, or what would you recommend would be like next steps that would eventually allow me to do big things, but we could do some small things in the interim?
I think the biggest hurdle on any build, and this is kind of how I decide whether to build a car or not build a car, is like if it's tunable. So like, it doesn't matter what we do power-wise to this engine, you're gonna have to recalibrate. If there's no way to do that, then you're stuck. Like, there's certain cars that there's no way to retune the factory PCM, and there's other cars where you just have to go to a full standalone computer. You kind of need to make those arrangements first, and then you can, really start seeing more data and adding horsepower and tuning correctly for the situation.
Right. So, and you mentioned the other day that the tuning would really, I think you recommended a Haltech.
Yeah, it's just easy.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of them, so I have a lot of good base maps for this engine on a Haltech. And the user interface, it worked really, really well for this car. So it just seems like that company spent a lot of time developing it. There's a few other companies that are popping up with other ECUs that I just have used recently, and I don't like them. So I still think Haltech is the best choice.
Okay, and you mentioned the Haltech 2500. Is that?
Haltech 2500 is just the highest model, and it has the most inputs and outputs. You may or may not need that. You could probably do a 1500, where it's a distributor car. You probably have less inputs and outputs. So, I mean, you'd have to like look on their website and see what they recommend. But.
Right, and so if we went with the 2500 to get me going to where I could bring it back in here, would that be the ECU and then the harness specific to the car?
Yeah, you get a Haltech jumper. I think they make one that goes from your chassis into the Haltech. And I always tend to buy like 3 things. I buy the jumper harness that connects the ECU, and then I buy their wideband, because their wideband module will communicate over the network, and network speed's way faster than analog speed. And I want to have like at least air fuel data as fast as possible.
Interesting.
So that like from the time you go wide open throttle might be like 1/1000. I want it to already be adjusting and like predicting, and I need it to have like super fast speed. So
interesting.
I always buy the wiring harness, the ECU, and the CAN wideband.
Okay, fantastic. So, and if we did that, you could tune and maybe get a few more horsepower as is. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would think we'd be able to get a little bit more. I mean, a lot of times with all the same factory stuff that the manufacturer tuned with, I mean, they probably leave some margin there, but it's probably not huge,
Yeah.
10%.
10%?
On most cars, and then once you start doing mods, like much more. Obviously.
Yeah, so then mods I could do in stages like, say...
Immediately turbo it.
Well, that would be ultimately, well, if I could afford...
That's what everybody does, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do that, but what if we did something like headers and open up the air box?
Yeah, the basic stuff would be like headers, exhaust, intake.
Yeah.
So just airflow mods.
Airflow mods.
Cooling temperature mods, and then stuff that'll make it feel better to you is like what you're already doing with lightening the car. That obviously makes it feel faster.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you can certainly do that kind of stuff. The other thing you can kind of do preemptively is anything related to cooling. Like this radiator looks like it's not going to last that much longer.
Yep.
Like it looks like the plastic is maybe seeing too many heat cycles, so it might be time to upgrade some of your cooling related items to like get ahead of the curve. Like you go turbo this car, you make boost, and then all your cooling system falls apart and all the kinda maybe you do your ECU so the engine's tunable. You do your cooling mods, like oil cooler coolant stuff, so you're ready for that. And then it makes the transition into like forced induction like way easier.
Okay, well, I think that's the route we're gonna go. Now, if you guys, I may not have posted that video yet, but if I haven't, I actually installed a Super AFC. I don't have it plugged in right now. Jarom, tell us why we shouldn't run the Super. We're gonna make sure the guys know to not install the Super AFCs. Why is that bad?
The funny thing is I've uninstalled probably 30 of those things in the last 10 or 15 years. When they came out, it was to kind of like be able to make some tunability on cars that weren't tunable.
Right.
In the like early and mid 2000s. And the problem with it is if you take a timing signal from a distributor and modify it, you're globally modifying it, which means that like you're increasing the timing at the high end, but also making like issues other places. So like it just it's hard to explain.
So you're increasing the timing
it's worse than that because usually it uses an airflow modifier. So if you use an airflow modifier to like fix your air fuel ratio to make it like make more power with air fuel ratio, it will also move the timing accordingly. So like if you reduce the fuel to make it leaner to make more power, you're also increasing the timing. So you're now making it leaner and over time. And those two items, like those are like how you blow cars up. So like too much timing and not enough fuel, that's how you blow stuff up.
Right, so
it does them together because
okay, so let's make sure we understand this. So it's gonna pull time, it's gonna make it lean essentially. It could make it lean, and lean is how you blow up a car.
Lean is how you blow up a car, and over timing is how
it could do either one.
It does both. If you try to reduce the fuel to make it leaner, to make it faster, it also increases timing.
Got it. So the Super AFC, you actually want to pull fuel out.
Yeah, if you pull fuel out, you add timing, which means you're making it leaner and adding timing at the same time. Because with a factory ECU, both numbers are going to move.
Got it.
You're moving it on the map over. So if you move the fuel map over, what people don't think about is you're moving the timing map over too in the background, and nobody's thinking about that.
Okay, so for the guys that aren't going to listen to us, and if they have a air fuel ratio installed, what's a dangerous lean air fuel ratio?
I mean, that's
on the lean side.
It's really hard to say. I think most all motor cars on like a 93 pump gas, you're probably not wanting to see leaner than like 13.
Yeah.
In a wide open throttle situation, and that's like with a really nice temperature day. But also that number kind of depends on the engine. Like a lot of like LS based cars, maybe like somewhere 12.3 to 12.6 makes the most, and some import cars like a Honda, maybe 13.2 makes the most. It just totally depends. Like,
all right. So you heard it from a professional. Jarom has been in the game for over 20 years and has tons of experience. He's up here in the North Austin area. What's your shop called again?
It's Gearheads Autofab.
Gearheads Autofab. It's there on his shirt, guys. He doesn't really need any business, but if you're in desperate need, come by and he might be able to help you out. So, hey, thanks for everything today. Really appreciate you. All right, guys, that's it for today. We're gonna save our money and we're gonna get a standalone ECU because that's the way to do it right. And stay tuned. Subscribe. Let me know if you like this content in the comments below. And we're gonna be on to the next part of the journey. Love you guys. Peace.